Before this day ends, something is going to happen that you will not be able to ignore, not because it will be loud or dramatic, but because it will speak directly to a place inside you that you have been trying to silence for a very long time, and I don't know how this reached you. I don't know what you were doing just seconds before this, but the fact that you are here right now reading this is not random, it is not coincidence. It is alignment, because there are moments in life where everything looks normal on the outside, but something deeper is shifting behind the scenes, something you cannot see yet, something you cannot fully understand yet, but you can feel it, that subtle tension, that quiet pull, that feeling that something is about to change, and you tried to ignore it before. You told yourself it's just your imagination, you told yourself nothing ever really changes. You told yourself this is just another ordinary day, but deep down you know this feels different. This moment feels heavier, almost like time itself is slowing down just to make sure you don't miss what is about to unfold. And maybe you've been asking for a sign, maybe you've been waiting for clarity, maybe you've been confused, tired, questioning everything around you, wondering if you're on the right path or if you've been wasting your time chasing something that was never meant for you, and the silence has been frustrating. The waiting has been painful, because when you don't get answers, your mind starts creating doubts, it starts filling the gaps with fear, it starts convincing you that nothing is coming, that nothing will change, that you are stuck exactly where you are. But what if the silence was never empty? What if something was being prepared? What if the delay was actually protection? What if the reason you didn't get your answer yet is because the moment you are about to experience today will answer everything in a way that words never could, because some signs are not meant to be explained, they are meant to be felt, they are meant to hit you in a way that logic cannot argue with, in a way that doubt cannot destroy, and you might be thinking right now, what kind of sign, what exactly is going to happen, and that's the part you need to understand. The sign will not come the way you expected, it will not follow your script, it will not arrive in a form you have already imagined, because if it did, you would question it, you would doubt it, you would try to rationalize it away. But this sign, this moment, will be undeniable, it will catch you off guard, it will show up when you least expect it, maybe in a conversation, maybe in a message, maybe in something you see, maybe in something you feel, but when it happens, you will know, not because someone told you, but because something inside you will instantly recognize it. And that recognition will be so strong that for a moment everything else will fade, all the noise, all the confusion, all the overthinking, it will go silent, and in that silence you will understand something you have been trying to understand for so long, and the truth is, you were never lost, you were just being guided in a way you couldn't see yet. Every delay, every rejection, every moment that made you question yourself, it was all positioning you for this exact realization, and I know part of you is still skeptical. Part of you is thinking this sounds too good, too perfect, like something you've heard before. But this isn't about convincing you, this isn't about making you believe something blindly, this is about preparing you, because when the sign appears, if you are not aware, you might miss it, and missing it doesn't mean it won't happen again, but it means you will stay in the same cycle longer than you need to, and you've already spent enough time in confusion, you've already spent enough time waiting for something to shift, so right now all you need to do is stay aware. Stay present, pay attention to what happens. Today, pay attention to what feels different, because the sign is not always something external, Sometimes it's a realization that hits you out of nowhere, sometimes it's clarity that arrives without warning, sometimes it's the sudden understanding of why things happened the way they did, and when that happens, don't ignore it, don't brush it off, don't tell yourself it's nothing, because that is exactly what you've been doing before. That is exactly why things felt unclear, because every time clarity tried to reach you, doubt pushed it away. But today is different. Today you are being asked to trust what you feel, even if it doesn't make sense immediately, even if it challenges what you believed before, because growth never feels comfortable, truth never feels easy at first, it shakes you, it forces you to see things you were avoiding, it breaks illusions you were holding on to. And that's why most people ignore the signs. Not because they don't see them, but because they don't want to accept what those signs are showing them. But you are not most people, you are here for a reason, you are seeing this for a reason, and before this day ends, you will have a moment where you can either accept the sign or ignore it again, and that choice will decide what happens next in your life. Not tomorrow, not next week, but starting from this very moment, because once you see something clearly, you cannot unsee it. Once you understand something deeply, you cannot go back to pretending you don't know it, and that is where everything begins to change, not outside, but inside you, because the real shift is never external. It always starts within, and once that internal shift happens, your actions change, your decisions change, your direction changes, and slowly your entire life starts aligning with that new awareness. But it all begins with one moment, one sign, one realization that you cannot ignore. And that moment is closer than you think, closer than you expect, closer than you are ready for, but readiness is not required, awareness is. And right now, you are becoming aware, right now, something inside you is already starting to pay attention differently, and that is how it begins. And when that moment finally arrives, it won't ask for your permission, it won't wait for you to feel ready, it won't slow itself down just because you are still trying to understand what's happening. It will come exactly as it is meant to come, precise, sharp, undeniable, and in that instant you will feel something shift inside you so clearly that even your own thoughts will pause, because for once your mind will not be the loudest voice. Something deeper will take over, something quieter but far more powerful, and that is where most people get uncomfortable, because they are used to controlling everything with logic, they are used to overthinking every possibility, they are used to needing proof before they accept anything as real. But this sign will not come with proof that your mind can dissect, it will come with a feeling that your soul already understands, and that difference is everything. Because your mind questions to protect you. But your deeper awareness recognizes truth without needing explanation, and that recognition will feel almost like remembering something you forgot, like suddenly everything that once felt confusing starts connecting in a way that is too perfect to ignore, and you might even try to fight it at first, you might try to explain it away, you might tell yourself it's just coincidence, just timing, just luck, but the more you try to dismiss it, the stronger it will feel. Because real clarity doesn't fade when you question it, it becomes sharper, it becomes louder in silence, it stays with you even when you try to move on from it, and that persistence is your confirmation, not something outside of you, but something within you that refuses to be ignored any longer, and this is where your decision becomes real, not theoretical, not something you can delay for later, but something you feel pressing on you right now. Because once you recognize a truth, You are faced with two choices, either you align with it or you resist it, and both choices have consequences. Aligning with it will feel uncomfortable at first because it will require change, it will require letting go of things you were holding on to, it will require stepping into something unknown, something uncertain, something that doesn't come with guarantees, and that scares you because you have been trying to stay safe, you have been trying to avoid uncertainty. You have been trying to protect yourself from disappointment, but what if staying where you are is the real risk? What if ignoring this sign is what keeps you stuck? What if the discomfort you are avoiding is actually the doorway to everything you have been asking for, and that is the shift that most people never make? They wait for comfort before they move, they wait for certainty before they act, they wait for guarantees before they trust, but life doesn't work that way, growth doesn't work that way, clarity doesn't work that way. The sign comes first, the understanding comes first, and the comfort comes later, after you decide to move forward despite not having all the answers, and right now, you are being prepared for that exact moment, because when it happens, hesitation will try to pull you back, your past will try to remind you of every time things didn't work out, your fear will try to convince you that this is just another illusion, but this time something will feel different. This time you will notice that even though fear is still there, it doesn't have the same control over you, it doesn't feel as convincing as it used to, and that's because you are not the same person you were before. You have already changed in ways you don't fully recognize yet. Every experience you went through, every moment that tested you, every situation that forced you to grow, it all built something inside you that is now ready to see things differently, ready to choose differently, ready to respond differently. And that is why this sign is coming now and not before, because before you might have ignored it, before you might not have understood it, before you might not have had the strength to act on it, but now you do, even if you don't feel completely confident, even if you still have doubts. The difference is you are aware, and awareness changes everything, because once you see clearly, even fear cannot fully blind you again. It can slow you down, it can make you hesitate, but it cannot completely stop you unless you allow it to, and that is where your power is, not in controlling what happens, not in predicting every outcome, but in choosing how you respond when the moment arrives, because that response is what shapes your reality moving forward, not the sign itself, not the situation itself, but your reaction to it. And this is the part most people overlook. They wait for something external to change their life, but it's never the external thing that creates the transformation. It's the internal decision that follows it, the decision to trust, the decision to act, the decision to let go, the decision to move forward even when it feels uncertain, and those decisions are not easy. They require courage, they require honesty, they require you to face parts of yourself you may have been avoiding, but they also bring freedom, a kind of freedom you cannot experience while staying stuck in the same patterns, the same doubts, the same fears, and deep down you already know this. You felt it before in small moments, those brief flashes where everything made sense and you felt ready to change, ready to move, ready to do something different, but then something held you back, maybe timing, maybe fear, maybe overthinking, maybe the opinions of others, and slowly that clarity faded, and you went back to what felt familiar. But this time it won't fade the same way, this time it will stay with you, it will follow you even after the moment passes, it will show up in your thoughts, in your decisions, in the way you see things, And that is because this is not just another temporary realization. This is a turning point, something that marks a before and after in your life. Even if the change is not immediately visible on the outside, it will already be happening within you, and once that internal shift begins, it cannot be reversed, it can only be delayed, and the longer you delay it, the more uncomfortable things will feel, because you will be outgrowing the version of yourself that you are still trying to hold on to, and that tension will keep increasing. Until you finally decide to step into what you already know is right for you, and when you do, everything will start to make sense in hindsight, not immediately, not all at once, but piece by piece, moment by moment. You will begin to see how everything led you here, how nothing was wasted, how even the painful experiences had a purpose, how even the delays had meaning. And that understanding will bring a kind of peace that you have been searching for, not the kind of peace that comes from everything being perfect, but the kind that comes from knowing you are finally aligned with what is meant for you. And that alignment changes how you move through life. It changes what you accept, what you walk away from, what you pursue, and what you leave behind, and all of that begins with this one day, this one moment, this one sign that you cannot ignore, not because someone told you it's important, but because when it happens, you will feel it in a way that makes ignoring it impossible. And when that happens, remember this: don't rush to explain it, don't rush to question it, just allow yourself to experience it fully, because in that experience is the clarity you've been waiting for, and once you have it, everything else will start to fall into place in ways you cannot yet imagine. And when everything finally starts to settle after that moment, when the initial intensity fades just enough for you to breathe again, you will realize that something irreversible has already taken place inside you, something quiet but permanent, like a line has been crossed that you can never step back over, and it won't feel dramatic in the way movies show transformation. It will feel subtle but absolute, like a deep knowing that replaces confusion, like a calm certainty that stands where doubt once lived. And that is when it truly begins, not in the moment of the sign itself, but in what follows after. Because now you are no longer searching the same way, you are no longer questioning from the same place, you are no longer moving blindly through situations hoping something will eventually make sense. Now you are aware, and awareness carries a responsibility, because once you see clearly, you cannot pretend you don't. And pretending is what kept you stuck before, pretending things were fine when they weren't, pretending you didn't feel what you felt, pretending you didn't already know what needed to change. But now that illusion won't hold anymore. Now every time you try to ignore what you've understood, it will feel heavier, it will feel wrong in a way that you cannot justify anymore, and that discomfort is not punishment. It's guidance, it's the internal signal pushing you toward alignment, pushing you toward decisions that reflect who you are becoming instead of who you used to be. And this is where your life begins to separate into two clear paths, not physically at first, but internally. One path is the familiar, the safe, the predictable, the version of life you already know. The patterns you've repeated, the comfort that comes from not changing anything. And the other path is uncertain, unfamiliar, requiring courage, requiring trust, requiring you to step forward without seeing the entire picture. And the only thing that will guide you between these two paths is the clarity you just received, because logic alone will not be enough. Logic will try to keep you where it feels safe. But clarity will pull you toward what is true, even if it feels uncomfortable, and that pull will not disappear, it will stay with you in every decision you make from this point forward, in the conversations you have, in the opportunities you consider, in the situations you tolerate or walk away from. It will quietly influence everything, and slowly, without you even forcing it, your life will begin to shift, not all at once, but step by step, choice by choice, and you might not even notice the change immediately. But one day you will look back and realize that you are no longer the same person who was waiting for a sign. You are the person who received it and chose to act on it, and that difference is everything, because most people spend their entire lives waiting for the right time, waiting for certainty, waiting for confirmation after confirmation, and in that waiting they miss the very moments that were meant to change everything. But you are stepping out of that cycle, even if it feels slow. Even if it feels uncertain, you are moving, and movement creates momentum, and momentum creates transformation, and transformation leads you to a place where the life you once imagined starts to feel closer, more real, more possible, not because everything suddenly becomes easy, but because you are no longer resisting what is meant for you, and that resistance was the real barrier all along. Not circumstances, not timing, not luck, but the hesitation to trust what you already felt deep inside, and now that hesitation is losing its control over you. Not completely at first, but enough for you to take the next step, and then the next, and then the next, until one day you realize you are no longer asking for signs in the same desperate way. You are no longer looking outside for validation of what you should do, because you have built a connection with something deeper within yourself, something that recognizes truth without needing constant reassurance. And that is the real transformation, not just receiving a sign, but becoming someone who no longer depends on signs to move forward, someone who trusts, someone who acts, someone who understands that clarity is not something you chase, it's something you align with, and once you align with it, life begins to respond differently, opportunities appear where there were none before, people enter your life or leave it in ways that suddenly make sense, situations that once confused you become clear, and even challenges start to feel different, not like obstacles stopping you, but like steps shaping you, preparing you, strengthening you for what lies ahead, and that perspective changes everything, because now you are not reacting from fear, you are responding from awareness, and that shift is what creates real power, not control over everything, but control over how you show up, how you decide, how you move, and that is something no external situation can take away from you once you truly step into it. And as this day comes to an end, you may not see everything change instantly on the outside, but you will feel it, you will know it, you will recognize that something has started that cannot be undone, something that will continue to unfold beyond this day, beyond this moment, beyond what you can currently imagine. And in the days that follow, you will start noticing small confirmations, small alignments, small moments that reinforce what you felt today. And each one will build your trust a little more, strengthen your clarity a little more, until eventually you no longer question whether that sign was real, you will know it was, because of who you became after it, because of the decisions you made because of it, because of the path you chose because of it, and that is the final truth you need to understand. The sign was never meant to change your life on its own, it was meant to awaken something within you that would change everything, and now that awakening has begun. Whether you move with it or resist it is up to you, but either way, you will never be the same again. After this day, because once you have seen what you have seen and felt what you have felt, there is no returning to who you were before, only moving forward into who you are becoming, and that journey has already started, right here, right now.